If you clicked on this video, it is most likely that you have money problems that are coming in between you and your spouse. So today we're going to be talking about how to stop money fights, how to get on the same page, how to get traction towards your financial goals, and how to be content with where you are right now. My name is Brittany, and here on The Broke Budget, I like to talk about ways that you can save money and stop living paycheck to paycheck. So if that interests you, be sure to hit subscribe for more content. But let's get straight into this video. According to MarketWatch, the #1 predictor that your marriage may end in a divorce is actually if you're having money arguments. 48% of couples who live together have arguments about money. And out of that 48%, 41% of Gen Xers actually end up in a divorce, and 29% of boomers end in a divorce, solely because of the arguments around money. And if I go out on a limb here and guess, I would say 100% of people who are fighting about money are unhappy. So is there really a light at the end of the tunnel? Is there really hope on the other side? Is there a way to stop having money fights with your significant other? Well, I'm here to tell you there is, because if we look back at that research I just examined, that means that 52% of people are not having money arguments. One example of a money fight is when you have a spouse who either overspends, you yourself overspend, or you have a spouse who's a tightwad who holds on to money so tight that they won't let you spend any money, or the other way around, if you're the tightwad that won't let your spouse spend any money. That can really cause a lot of tension in the home, especially in a marriage. So we're going to look at this right now to try to determine if we can stop fights just like that. You have to sit down with your partner and talk about money rationally. And you can't do this when you're in the heat of the moment or when you're upset and angry or something happens. You can't do this right then because stuff will not end well. You need to sit down, have a conversation in an environment that is helpful. So this is going to be when you're calm, this is when you're not going to be hungry, this is when you're going to be well rested, this is going to be when you're in a good mood. And most people don't want to ruin the good mood by having a hard conversation, but it's the best time to have the conversation because you both can talk to each other instead of yelling at each other. And so you really need to sit down in that calm environment, make a commitment to sit down and talk to them. Remember, when you have those conversations, that your ultimate goal is not to win the argument. Your ultimate goal is to be together on the same plan, which means that you may have to compromise. And don't expect the other person to compromise first. You need to be the first one to offer a compromise, whatever that may be. If you are too tight on your money and holding on to it, you may need to compromise and say, hey, you know, I know you really like to spend money. I know you really like to go out and do these fun things. So why don't I give you a budget of $50 a month to just go do what you love? And I won't judge you for that, but could you please keep your spending under $50 or at $50? You just go back and forth and talk about, well, what would make you feel comfortable? How are you feeling about this? Is this okay? You have those calm, polite conversations, and that's how you come to an agreement on where you're going to go. And just because you're coming to an agreement doesn't mean that everybody's losing. It means we're winning together, because these are our goals for our future and the goals that we want together. And so focus on the togetherness and the future and the brightness of the future and the brightness of our financial goals, and the conversation will go much better than you think it's even gonna go. Remember that this is your partner in life. This is not your enemy, so don't treat them like they're an enemy. When you come to a compromise, you're going to want to write this down. You're going to want to have an agreement and a priority list of what you want to do. And here's the reason why. Because it can be really difficult to have an agreement and then stick to the agreement, because oftentimes people get stuff out of order. We've talked about this, and one person thinks it's this order, the other person thinks it's a different order, and then there's confusion, and then money fights start all over again. And so in order to avoid that, when you do finally come to an agreement, which mind you may not be in the first conversation, it may take multiple conversations before you come to an agreement, but when you finally do, you want to make sure it is in writing So here we're gonna look at an example of a priority list just so we can get an idea of what this could look like. So you may notice in this list that some of them are actually listed out from start to finish. This is the goal we're doing first, and next we will tackle this goal, and next we will tackle this goal. But other ones are listed as a recurring thing, such as the $40 goes into a eating out budget every single month. That is an every single month thing. It is recurring, and some of them are both priority listed and recurring, such as paying off the house. Paying off the house doesn't start until later down in the line of paying off credit card debt, paying off student loans, things of that nature, but then it becomes a recurring thing because it happens every single month from then on out. And so sometimes there's things in the budget that happen every single month. Sometimes there's stuff that happens at a specific point in time after you're done with other goals. And so put as much detail into this as possible and do this together. Don't have one person write it down. Have both of you write it down. Have half of the list written in your handwriting and the other half of the list written in the other person's handwriting. And the reason for this is very, very big, because in the future, when you are talking about money, if somebody's priorities get knocked off course, or if they change their mind or they forget what the priority is, you can come back to this list. And the good thing about this list is it's really hard to fight with yourself. Now, when you're fighting with a spouse, it's so easy because it's like you're a different person, I'm a different person, we can fight back and forth, I'm right, you're wrong, all this stuff. But when you're looking at a list that you wrote, it's really hard to fight with your past self. You're like, oh yeah, I did write that, didn't I? Can't fight with myself. You know what? You were the one that was right in this situation, I wasn't right. And vice versa, it really doesn't matter. But this list, if you turn back to it whenever a problem arises, or even just a question, not even a problem, just like, I can't remember what the list said. Are we supposed to be saving for a truck now that we paid off the student loans? Or are we supposed to be, what are we supposed to be doing? I don't remember anymore. It is really nice to come back to this list. And I mean, this list doesn't even have to be solid. If you guys have more discussions and you guys decide together, you know what, we need to change that, we need to add this wasn't in our plan, so we need to rearrange things, that is okay. That is okay. This list does not have to be set in stone, but the benefit of this list is you don't have to try to make your point when a money issue comes up and you're stressed out and the other person's stressed out. You don't have to make your point. You just put the list in front of them and let them figure it out themselves. And it makes everything so much easier, because maybe you're the one that's wrong. You may be frustrated with the other person, but the other person may be doing the right thing. So if you turn back the list, you go, oh, you know what, you're right, I was totally wrong, we did agree upon this, that's my bad. And you move on. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that this sounds great. You would love to have a calm conversation with your spouse, and you would love for it to go well and for you to talk about your finances and for you to be able to compromise so that you can both win in a situation that's right for both of you. And you would love to have that list so that it's easy to refer back to totally stop money fights, right? But the thing is that you're unhappy right now and you can't really bring it up with your spouse. I hear you, because this was me. It's really hard to talk about money because money becomes the pain center of marriage sometimes, and you just don't want to have those conversations. But here's the thing, in order for you to even remotely work towards your financial goals as a couple, or even have hashtag relationship goals in all areas of life, you need to have these conversations because you need to be on the same page. It's hard, I don't like it, just like you don't like it, but it has to happen. Money affects all areas of life, and for that reason, if you try to suppress it, it's going to come back, and most likely in a heated argument. It's in every topic of everything in all day long life. And so that might be actually one of the reasons why money is one of the big divorce reasons, because hello, every area of life is about money. And the thing is, like, you don't want it to be all about money because there's so many other greater things than just money, okay? Let's be honest. But here's the thing, money affects all the other things that you find is greater. It affects your family, it affects your friends, it affects everybody. And so because of that, it is an issue that we need to talk about. We can't just suppress it. Otherwise, we will be in trouble. Have that conversation, understand what each other's values are, come to compromises, and write down a plan so that when money conversations come back up, they aren't coming up in a heated argument because you're not suppressing it. The last thing that I promised to let you in on is how to be content with where you are today. And so this is something that even I have a little bit of trouble with, but here's the thing, and this goes for pretty much everyone, but if you're in the United States, all the more for you, because we see our money problems and we focus on our problems so intently that that's all we see is just that problem right there in front of us. And the thing is that we have a lot more to be grateful for than we think we do, especially in the US. If you're grateful for the fact that you have a roof over your head, then you wouldn't be fighting as much about money. You would be a little bit more content with where you are today. If you were thinking about the fact that you have food, and mind you, the biggest thing that I'm pretty sure that everybody in this video that clicked on this video has is a spouse. If you have a partner, be thankful for them. You know, just take a moment, be thankful for them, who they are, how they've been a blessing to your life, and how they've moved you forward, and stop focusing on the negative. Don't go all like, oh yeah, but they made all this bad stuff happen in my life. No, they didn't, because if they did, you wouldn't have married them. Yeah. So make sure that you focus on gratitude too, and that's how you can be content with where you are today. And you know, remember that where you are today, it doesn't have to define where you're going to be tomorrow. Be content where you are today because it is just the beginning of your brighter tomorrow. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up button before you go, and comment down below, let me know if any of this has helped or if there's anything more you want to learn about. In the next couple of weeks, I will be releasing videos on how to solve money problems, so if that interests you, be sure to hit subscribe and the bell notification to get notified when a new video comes out, and I will see you next time. Need to breathe. One of these days I'm just gonna drop dead in the middle of a video because I wasn't breathing.